Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. I'll introduce you to one of my good friends, Haley Garcia. Um,
Awesome.
Before I do, Haley, the reason why I invited Emily in to chat with us today is because me and Emily met at, I think we both were at the Meridian AGM 2 or 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And we hit it off really well, and I got a bunch of her popcorn, and I binge ate all of it because it was just so delicious. And ever since then, I've reordered like a few times and everything too. And I always like gift it out to some people.
Yeah.
And I saw your packaging the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like perfect timing for our Markets to Millions launch. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm just like really excited to connect you guys. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. So, yeah, Haley Garcia is one of my business partners. We have a podcast together called Gaga News with one of our other partners, Lance Many Wounds, based out in Arizona. And I'll hand it over to Haley to introduce herself.
Awesome.
Hi, Emily. Again, I'm Haley Garcia. I'm from New Mexico, but I'm currently based in Chicago, and I am a business owner, a mom. I'm a multifaceted human being, but with my business work with, I focus on just supporting busy visionaries with setting up with virtual admin support and then also strategic operations. But other than that, like I did some research on with what you've been doing, your business comeback snacks, and I am a fan. I just literally had popcorn like yesterday, and I was just literally thinking because I just had plain butter. I was just
Yeah.
like, what? I was really thinking about it, like, like what other flavors can we put on here? So just yesterday, like I said, just having popcorn. It's my son's favorite snack since he was little. So I stand the popcorn.
Amazing. But I was gonna say, were we also at the Christmas market at Sherway Gardens?
Yeah, we
Remember?
were. Yeah,
Yeah,
Toronto's such
yeah.
like a small business community. That's why I'm
Yeah.
so excited to do
No.
this. Like, I'm just so
Yeah.
excited to connect with like others that I've met along the way at different markets and all the cool people that are doing like amazing things and just like,
Mhm.
yeah, people who just like have started their business like a real business from the beginning and they've been able to scale it into what they want. So yeah, I'm excited for everybody to hear about what you do. So Emily, if you want to introduce yourself and come back next.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. I'm Emily O'Brien. I'm the founder and co-founder and CEO of Comeback Snacks, where I started in the most unlikely of places, and that was actually federal prison. And, like most people, you don't ever wake up and ever think your life is going to ever go in that trajectory. I mean, I got into trouble as a kid, but I was also a very good kid, but I never expected, to be as extreme as prison. But obviously, things happened along the way. I ended up on a trip with someone that I knew who ended up turning that trip into a drug smuggling trip. And I don't really want to go that too far into the trip because we only have an hour, but I talk about it a lot on other podcasts. But either way, I ended up in prison because I got involved in a drug smuggling trip that went wrong. And I just wanted to start over, but it was actually, mortifying. It was awful. And I knew that the only way to come back from this was just to take accountability. And, after being mad and being playing the victim for a year, I was like, this isn't getting me nowhere. Like, I know I could have done things differently, and instead of blaming it on other things. And so popcorn, where does popcorn come into this? Well, popcorn was a popular prison snack. And when I was inside prison, I met, so many other people that were just like me, maybe not the same charges, maybe not the same, obviously everyone has a story of their own. But the one thing that we all had in common was that we knew that finding a second chance via employment was going to be hard. And so I wanted to create a vehicle for employment for myself and for other people and for society to show that, second chances are possible, and they're not just good for the person coming out of prison. There's actually a number of benefits to providing second chances. So yes, here we are. Now we're all across the country. So it started from inside prison, and now we're all across the country, and actually in the US now as of last week. So
Wow, congratulations. Yeah, your story is like one of those things that's like always like just like caught my attention. I love a good story and I like me and Haley, we constantly talk about taking accountability and just like yeah, just like holding yourself accountable and like actually doing what you say you're going to do. Which in your case was like super admirable of just like, getting through it, going through it, and then getting over it and turning it into something that is like, super purposeful today. So yeah, we're so excited to have you on.
I know I'm so honored to be the inaugural episode. So
Yeah, first episode, Markets to Millions. Me and Haley, we often go around to like a lot of small businesses. We started a cohort program together for product-based entrepreneurs to scale out their businesses. So we're really just doing this as like a way for others to hear about how people get started on their businesses.
yeah,
And yeah, just kind of like really just starting the conversation on how you can actually go from like, unforeseen circumstances or like
yeah,
markets and turn it into millions. And
yeah,
yeah, so we just have like a bunch of rapid fire questions for you today.
yeah.
Haley, I think me and you are going to go back and forth. So I'll start with question one. Emily, do you remember your first spiel?
My first spiel, who I told about comeback snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know who it was to? It was to the Parole Board of Canada when I was still in prison because I had to get them to let me out of prison. And so it was honestly like I watched Dragon's Den so much when I was in prison, but in order to get out of prison and into the community, they have to like let you out based on your life plan. And so I told them this was my whole plan. And so that got me day parole, which then I was in a halfway house. So my first spiel was actually to Corrections Canada. And that opened up the next door for me. Does that count, or do you mean like dollar for dollar or exchange kind of thing?
No, absolutely. I would say that definitely counts. Like I think like a lot of small businesses, they get like really they get the blinders on when they think that they have to do things like perfectly and they have to just like make it like the best and biggest like thing, especially when you're first getting started. So I feel like that's like
Yeah.
a perfect story about how, you know, you did what you had to do, you articulated it, you took a chance, you followed through on like actually executing it, which is why you were able to grow into the position that you're in today. So I feel like that's an amazing first spiel. I was not even expecting that. That's like
Perfect.
so
Yeah.
cool.
I wasn't expecting that either. To kind of piggyback off of that question, like
Mhm.
going back to you, were you nervous about it? Like, how did you feel having to do that first pitch, I guess, to the parole board?
They have like your life in their hands, right?
Yeah.
And they go through every single awful moment that got you to prison in the first place. And so I
Yeah.
still have it on a CD, and like of course, I'm like, they bring up the worst parts of like things that you didn't want to remember, and then you still have to keep your composure. So I think I learned a lot of skills just by like having to bring up those tough things and go through those tough things, and how I learned from the tough things that resulted in the crime, but then also convince them that I was really passionate, not just passionate about this. I was like bound and determined to do this. It was like next level passion. Okay. I was like, this is
Yeah.
happening. So they really saw that like conviction, like no pun
Mhm.
intended, in me there. And here we are. So
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Would you say, again, another one, would you say it's made things easier just because you had that as like the first pitch or to the parole board? Would you say it's made it easier to have those spiels again with with investors or with like to this day? Like would you say it made it easier just having that first one with in that
um,
circumstance?
I think it depends because I can tell a story and have conviction, but telling the story to my first customer, there's definitely more nerves involved in that. Telling your story and about your business to your first investor, there's so many different requirements there, or it's like a first big retailer, right? And
Yeah.
they're all kind of looking for different things. And so all you really not really need to do, but you have to prepare. You have to prepare
Yeah.
thoroughly. Even
Preparation.
when we actually got asked to go on Dragon's Den and we got asked to like we auditioned, they called me. It was like 8 months out of prison, and Dave Chilton, who has been one of my mentors since the beginning. He's like, do it. He's like, just go out and do it, and
Hmm.
practice. And I was like, okay. So what I really learned from that experience was actually the whole process of practicing and getting up there, going downtown, and even though they didn't air it, and then not getting a deal, it was like actually a win for me because I learned all those things and I took all those like skills and it actually is to propel me forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of people severely underestimate is just doing it. And like just
Mhm.
because the outcome isn't always what you think it is, it doesn't mean that you can't reuse it later or that you won't
Mhm.
build up that experience for later.
Yeah.
Um, do you remember when your first market was?
My first market.
Mhm.
I was in Hamilton. I was living in a halfway house. So I got out of prison in 2018 at the very, very end. And then, so it was in January. It was actually at an entrepreneurship event. So like they had like people like selling products at tables. So it wasn't necessarily a market per se, but it was like an event where they had vendors. And so part of the thing, I volunteered to like come there and also share my story. I was like, all right, I might as well start here. you know, and, and in prison, like it was actually kind of good because you don't have phones in there, you don't have technology, so you really have to get good at communicating. And that was like one of the like I guess hidden benefits of it. It's like you have to learn how to like look people in the eye, um, and not just like go on your phone or whatever. You have to like figure out a way to navigate those nerves, right? And so I was like, I'm going to start here. I did that. And then the second one I did was actually at an open house at the gym that I was working at. So I needed a job with a legitimate paycheck to, I couldn't just like jump right into comeback snacks until like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
But so I got a job at the gym, and I honestly got that because went up with like a resume that I had all my prison jobs on it, and they hired me because I was just honest and like, but obviously very motivated to restart. And that's what I love about gyms. It's like, okay, they're all about starting over, and so they had an open house, and I was able to like give out my product there, where I ran into like a lot of people from my high school, and like then I ended up getting like a speaking thing at the old high school that I worked at. So kind of it was again, it was more of an event environment where I was able to kind of promote the product. So those are like
Yeah.
the first two that I
We are always like, so I actually just launched a program called Markets 101, and
hmm
we're basically trying to like help people just get started with markets.
hmm
Because the first market that I made, I actually went out and I did about $4,500 in my first weekend.
hmm
And it was just like, for me, my retail, like my background is like 10 years in retail management.
hmm
So for me, I just acted like my market booth was like a retail store that I was managing.
hmm
So I put all that into like a little quick course. It's like 5 modules long with a 20-minute podcast style interview. And yeah, do you remember how much money you made at your first market?
It was like around 500 or 600 bucks, I would think. Yeah.
Decent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, which was
I did.
awesome, and a lot of it was in cash. And the funny thing about that is, I had to go back to the halfway house and like explain every single transaction because they're like, "Why are you coming back with $500 in cash?" You know, just like looking at everything and like with suspicion. So
Yeah,
it's like,
that's funny that you say that because it's actually in one of the modules in the course is about
mm,
like taking cash or not taking cash. And it's like
mm,
how sometimes when you take cash, it doesn't actually like go into like the float of your business. So when you go to talk to the bank or when you go to talk to a mentor or an investor or you just start trying to forecast things for like, a futurepreneur loan or something like that, you sometimes don't have like real numbers. Um, so yeah, that's funny that you brought up cash because I didn't like that's like true. Like that's so interesting that if you bring the cash back to the halfway house, they're gonna be like, what are you doing?
but it's good because it teaches you like proper accounting, right? And like, okay,
Yeah.
and tax and everything like that. So if it's going to be $10, you have to, your price is actually this plus tax that equals $10. So
Exactly.
um yeah, it really depends. And if you're using Square and cash, then the numbers have to like, you got to do some finagling with the numbers to make it fair to the customer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And so next question is what's the biggest mistake you made early on?
Biggest mistake I made early on, getting arrested and going
I feel like
having
that's
a
one.
criminal record, so that because it makes you a lot of people don't know this, but like there are some funding organizations that reached out to me, and then they didn't even know their own internal rules, and they're like, oh, actually you are ineligible for
Yeah,
funding because you have a record. But I know like the majority of people listening to this are not going to be like, okay, well, that doesn't apply to me.
yeah.
um I would say over promising, like definitely I got this order, and it was like it was just this man at this restaurant was like, did you go to prison? And he like ended up giving me like a big deposit on an order, and I was like, oh yeah, it'll take me like 2 weeks, and it ended up taking me a month. And I was at my at this point I was like doing the popcorn at my mom's house because I was like starting to be a little disruptive. So, but my mom lived 10 minutes away from there. And so she was getting like, she was coming in to help me. It was like the popcorn. It was like, every time she opened the door, it was like this wafts of popcorn. But then I was like, luckily there wasn't an event, but by the time I got the order done, like he wasn't even there because he like left for the winter. So like I couldn't
Yeah,
even deliver the order, and I felt so bad and so guilty because I worked so hard on it for a month, and he basically thought that I was talking to him back and forth, but I was like, oh, I'll be done this day, and then all these things that happen, you have to go out and get more supplies, and so I
yeah,
just overstretched my capacity, and that was again very very early because I was just so excited, but
Mhm.
you know.
Ah.
Sometimes saying no, especially when you start your business early on. I was just talking on the Birds Papaya podcast a couple days ago, and
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah, we were talking about that specifically because she was like, "What is something that customers can do to help small businesses?" And I'm like, honestly, sometimes just supporting them along their journey as opposed to just like throwing like big opportunities at people like early on, because
Hmm.
like it's good that you want to support early on in like a big capacity, but a lot of people rely on it a little bit too much. Like if you get like a $10,000 order in 1 month and then you do all of these things to make it work and then you like lose track of like how you were maintaining the regular cash flow support of your business regularly before you got that order, then all of a sudden you get the $10,000 and then you have no, like you have to restart your business almost.
Yeah.
So sometimes saying no is actually like one of the best things that you can do, especially when you're starting out. If like you want to take the opportunity because you want to see if you're capable of like doing it, but at the
Mhm.
same time, like sometimes like if you got the opportunity once, odds are you're probably gonna get it again. So
Mhm.
I like to say no a lot. I don't know about you.
Yeah. And even as you grow too, like the things that we used
Yeah.
to do to grow are things that we can't do now. Like we
Yeah.
used to do like consignment models or
Yep.
like handwritten checks, and then like we can't go and collecting all these invoices and doing like all these accounting with different accounts literally, or like accounts
Yeah.
receivable every month. Like really had to streamline in order to scale. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And like when do you feel like you first took your brand seriously?
I would say when I was on national TV and I knew that it was something that was going to be something that mattered, and the amount of mockery that I was expecting I didn't get. I got some. I was like I'm going to be mocked for this, like whatever. It's like I was in prison, like you get talked to like crap all day out there anyway,
Yeah.
so like this is nothing. But the actual amount of support that came in after that compared to the amount of like people that just wanted nothing to do with it or just like condemned me, they were just like whatever. And I was like, okay. And I'll be honest, the first little bit it sucks. It's like no one's immune to anything. Like,
Mhm.
but it didn't. But the amount of support from strangers actually gave me the strength to keep going. And then like I was on the CTV morning show after I did this big article with the local newspaper, and then it got shared with the Toronto Star
Yeah.
because I think they're owned by the same company.
Yeah.
And then it was like, then I got a call from CTV and they wanted me on the morning show. And so I was like, holy crap, like this is, and it was all nice questions. It wasn't like set, like, just like condescending, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's like, do you
Yeah.
regret what you did? It wasn't questions like that. It was like all like really positive, um, positive discussions, which was
Yeah.
awesome.
I think it's so cool that you just like jumped in and just like put yourself out there like that because like yeah, if you were having like these like moments of like, oh no, like I think that they're gonna ask me questions like this, if you let that hold you back, then you would never be able to like accomplish what you've been accomplishing, which is just
Hmm.
like so
Yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
Hmm. And kind of circling back to like the previous thought of like your capacity and like having what Chelsea said, sometimes she says no. Like, have you ever declined like a massive opportunity, and what was that scale like?
Massive opportunity. Well, we've had to say no to like certain timelines now going forward. And sometimes
Okay.
there's just been projects that are
Fine.
like, we need things ready in like 3 weeks. And we're like, okay, what's the value of taking on this opportunity and being able to push other things? Like, can we push the other stuff? Is it going to impact the business relationship if we push the other stuff? And or sometimes you're just overwhelmed. Like even this year we have 3 huge launches, and it's like, how do we do this so that each one gets the same amount of attention
Yeah.
without driving ourselves crazy? Because at the end of the day, you want to enjoy running your business. And I know that's like
Yeah.
obviously not realistic 100%, but if there's more stress than fun, and like then it's like, what are you doing it for? You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
also you have to consider the own mental health of your team,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and also being able to serve the customers. So I
Hmm.
think just getting out in front of the issues are like could be issues is really important because a lot of these bigger customers, like a big grocery store, like they don't really give second chances. Like their
No.
timelines are so strict, and
Hmm.
it's like if you mess up the first one and it's late, they might just not want you back. And
Yeah.
like the time that it took to actually get that meeting to get that first order took so much time in the first place. So it's like you really have to be careful. So we're kind of in that phase right now, and
Yeah.
I'll get more
Yeah.
into it when I'm out of certain NDAs, but
Yeah.
it'll definitely be part of the storytelling here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think Chelsea, kind of like just hearing you two at product based businesses or products with your businesses, you guys are essentially saying the same thing with timelines and working with
Yeah.
retailers that have these strict guidelines or strict requirements from you guys as small business owners. So, and I know that's kind of put into some of the cohort that we're doing, and then put into the markets to million stuff that we're doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're not the only one to kind of voice that from what I've been
Yeah.
hearing. So
And
that's
that's like
that's nice to
exactly
see.
why I wanted to have these conversations because it's like I have these conversations like every day with my team, with myself, with my investors, with you. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm constantly saying it, but then like I feel like nobody's hearing me. So that's why I wanted to come on to these like markets to millions chats and just be real and be honest with customers and other small businesses and other service-based entrepreneurs and things like that because like it's just so interesting to me that like we can all have the same problems and there's
Yeah.
like why is there not the solution to it by now? So it's like one of those things that I'm just like always just like trying to rack my brain around.
Yeah.
But yeah, Emily, what do you think is your proudest like accomplishment so far?
My proudest accomplishment, I think, has been um my speaking, like growing my speaking engagements and getting asked to speak on the power of second chances. Like I can talk a lot of the talking ideas about making comebacks, but like literally last year I got asked to speak at like the Canadian Home Builders Association, all on because there's a gap in the labor market. Like they need people to be hired, and so they asked me. They brought me across the country to Victoria to speak to like 1,500 people, or maybe it was like 700. Anyway, it was a lot of people. It was a big room
Yeah.
to really speak on that. So it's really awesome to see that like my message is getting heard and people's lives are going to be changed, even if it's slowly, even if like these rules are changed slowly. It's because the popcorn is like kind of like the vector to like that actual mission. So
Yeah.
uh, seeing the impact on greater scale is awesome to me, and that's honestly what drives me every day.
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. And it's like I'm sure when you first got started, like you probably didn't even know that like speaking was going to be like an avenue that you could like express yourself and like impact others with. Like especially when you start like a business, like yeah, like selling popcorn. It's like then all of a sudden you're a voice for so many others to kind of like follow in your footsteps or learn from your mistakes or inspire to, just go for it and stuff like that. So um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel like that's just like so cool.
And it's nice to be able to curse on stage, It's like I'm
That's
allowed
my
to like curse
favorite.
on stage because I'm like, listen, if you were got arrested at the airport, you would swear too. I literally say that at the beginning. I don't curse all the time, but there are moments when people curse. So
Yeah.
it's like it's fun that like companies are looking for more raw and honest speakers too that can just
It's
actually tell the truth.
extremely true. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say that. Like like just meeting you virtually right now through this IG live, like your authenticity like is resonating on this side of like the screen and everything. And even me just doing some reading and again like looking into some of those your other talks, like one quote that stood out to me, which you did kind of mention at the beginning, was mistakes are universal, so are comebacks. And
mhm,
that one, like I was like, oh man, like that hit hard because I work in like workforce development. I'm here in the city of Chicago. I'm doing some stuff with youth. I'm a mentor and I have conversations where it is talking about like that's a topic right now that needs to be addressed. Is just how are we providing these or at least showing like having inspiration, showing inspiration of what's being done already, and then how are we like supporting these I guess the communities that we're working in, specifically me. I'm talking about that because yeah, I have a lot of conversations with returning citizens on different communities, not just indigenous communities but within here in the city, and
mhm.
talking to different organizations that are leading that conversation on the forefront. So again, that quote for me like really like made sense.
And it's like something that like carries me every day,
Mhm.
right? And even if people don't go to a physical prison, I'm sure like, and I kind of say this when I do my talks, it's like we've all been in other prisons before. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
mental prison or financial, like we're in awful debt, or like marital, like like there's so many other forms of like confinement that like either we're a part of getting ourselves in or maybe not, but we still need to
Absolutely.
work with others to get out of those forms of confinement and shame, right? So
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really interesting. Me and Haley have both gone through a lot of life transitions this year, so
Yeah, and like that's why I love your storytelling too, because you just like literally you lie down on a pillow and like you like film yourself like lying in bed.
I'm like, everything's
I'm
fucked.
like,
Like, I fucking hate it. Like, being an entrepreneur fucking sucks. And
yeah,
then, okay, I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye.
I
It's
know.
like,
I laugh so hard, like not laugh, but I'm like, this is like that's what people need to see, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah.
and we talked about that on our podcast too, just the transparency level of like business owners. Because yeah, we can highlight all the good stuff, but a lot of people don't talk about the bad stuff. A
No.
lot of
Mhm.
people hide that bad stuff. That like those like there's a lot of people saying different things, comments. Of course, we're in the era of social media where we have people with typing fingers and all that. But yeah, so we talked about that transparency of highlighting not just the good, but also the bad and
Yeah.
the fails, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
That's what yeah.
I'm so excited because me and Haley were launching a small YouTube series, so we're calling it Sidebar. And like me and
Cool.
Haley, we met in Waterloo. So, or like, yeah, we met in Waterloo, but we knew each other from a conference that happened in Vegas last year. But we didn't meet there. But we ended up connecting like a week after the conference in
Yeah.
Waterloo. And then I ended up being like, hey, by the way, like I just got divorced and I don't know what I'm doing with my life anymore. But if you have like speaking like gigs, because Haley's in like the tourism industry and she was working with a nonprofit at the time, I was like, but like if you have any opportunities for like speaking in the States, let me know, I'll be there. And she's like, wow, like actually there's like an opportunity like next Wednesday, like in Chicago. I'm like, no way,
Yeah.
I love Chicago. I'm
It's
coming.
my favorite US city. I just can't go there right now. So I
Same.
want to
Yes.
get back there. I've been there like 5 times, which is,
It's so good. But yeah,
Yes.
me and Haley, we often like go and like we work at cafes, we work at lunch spots, we grab dinner, and we just keep yapping and stuff. And it's like we have such interesting and fun conversations. So like, yeah, we're excited to like launch our sidebar conversations on YouTube. This week
cool.
we're actually launching it. I think like this afternoon.
Oh,
Um,
fun. That's wicked.
but yeah, so we're so happy to have you here today. But big question.
Mhm.
Do you remember what your highest sales day to date was at a market? And I'll ask you what your highest sales day to date, not at a market, is just on what is like your record breaking days,
I
markets
can
and
give you
stuff.
like our highest PO number.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was our biggest PO was when we literally just got with TJX US. So that's our big account that we're launching to us. And so they ordered like 8,000 units, which is amazing.
Amazing. That is so
Yeah,
cool. TJX actually just reached out to us, actually
so
kind of
great.
2 or 3 years ago, and I
Yeah.
kept telling them no because for me, I felt like it was like as a retailer for like indigenous businesses, I felt like
Hmm.
it was really important for me to like hold my mark in the market
Hmm.
of like not selling my products in other retailers because I was trying to become the retailer.
Hmm.
And this year I just realized like, oh, I have so many products. Why don't I just like give them like a few different collections that I have and stuff? So we just started working with TJX as well. So they're great to work
They're
with.
awesome. Like they've been great to work with. Like we launched with them in Canada, and it's a great channel for people to discover your brand because people like. Well, if I'm in grocery, so people don't all necessarily like grocery shopping. It's like a painful experience because of the price, but people love going to TJX. It's like a treasure hunt,
Yeah,
and so people spend more time like learning about stuff, and that's why we've done really well there. So yeah, it's great.
amazing.
I think you have a good strategy for that.
Yeah. Haley, do you want to ask the last question?
Yeah, sure. And the last question is, what's one focus to go from markets to millions? Wait, what would
I
you
would
say?
say don't ever forget like the first people that you meet because they will still be your biggest spokespeople. They will always be sharing your stuff on social media. Whenever I go back to like the town, like I'm literally going to Hamilton today. I always visit the stores that carry my product first.
Yeah,
Some of them aren't in business anymore, but I always try to like reach out to people and talk to people that were there from the very beginning because they will always be talking about your short story. And like I found that like they've reached out and been like, oh, Emily, I saw your product up here. And then I kept talking about it at this party. Right. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually one of my favorite things to do is like goes to the stores and just clomp around in old locations, so I think that's really important because there's like residual sharing that turns into the
yeah,
profit,
like
and then you can
Yeah.
take your profit and do really good things with it and reinvest it with the community and wherever you want to go from there.
And then
Awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I see in the comments Imaginative saying never forget your day ones, which is
Yeah.
true. Like literally
Yeah.
exactly.
even as a smaller business who's like all fully virtual service based, like my day ones are always supporting me, even asking me like, "Hey Haley, like I referred someone to you. I gave someone your email or gave someone your website." So
Mhm.
yeah, definitely never forget your day ones. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is honestly actually like excellent advice. It's funny because the other day, me and my team, we were trying to figure out like right now our sales are up really high, but our website traffic is going down really fast, and we're not selling as many beanies as we usually do. And immediately it popped into my head that we're not talking to new customers anymore. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, we're focusing too much on
They
all
already
the
have
customers
one.
that we
They already
know.
have the beanies.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. They already have the beanies. So like basically like right now we have like a secret link if you see any of our
Oh,
ads and
I'm
stuff.
gonna buy one now.
Yeah, like actually we're gonna send you a package. So I think Haley or somebody from my team reached out to you, Emily, about
Yes.
sizes and stuff. So we're gonna send you a little care package. So thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly see if there's any questions like inside of the comments, or like does any of the team have them? And before I do, as I let the questions start stirring, if you know anyone who is starting to get into markets or maybe they've been scaling at markets, maybe they would be a great guest. So let us know in the comments who they are, and we'll try to reach out and see if they'd be interested in joining us next time on Markets to Millions.